Mic check. Mic sound okay? Camera 1 good? Camera 2 good? All right, here we go. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're doing well. This is a brand new week, and we're bringing a brand new episode to you all because you are tuned in to listen. You're not defeated, and I'm your host, David Hernandez. If you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and click the bell for all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, look, click the follow button so you don't miss an episode. If this is the first time you are tuned in with us, I wanted to just inform you that every week here on YouTube, on my channel, or on your favorite podcast station, you can listen to us twice a week with brand new episodes on Tuesday and Thursday. We're super excited because we've just started to release 2 brand new episodes, and the purpose of these episodes is really to bring value and insight that is going to give you the information that you need to help you live the best life possible. I recently got asked, how is it that I take my students through the coaching process? Look, there's a lot of insight out there, right? There's a lot of information. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of diets. There's a lot of supplements. There's a lot of things out there that are targeting to help people release weight, or also known as lose weight, but also help them through their health and fitness journey. And why is mine different? Well, I use a different approach because I focus on helping people identify the root cause of why they are repeating the patterns or the habits, right? In terms of eating, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of habitual things that they do on a day-to-day basis that is keeping them stuck in the life that they are living. Right? Maybe they're living unhappy, they're living overweight, they're living unhealthy, they're living with habits that they're not satisfied with, which is ultimately giving them a life that they are not pleased with. And so what I do is I focus on those core components, those root causes that are causing men and women to stay stuck in the life that they are living. And so what I wanted to do was do a different episode for today. I'm actually going to break down a real live coaching call that I had with Allison, who you all have already met a couple of times here on our podcast. She's a student of mine. She's a client of mine who has now also become someone that is helping me advocate what I am doing to help people actually get a hold of their eating habits, right? To teach them how to master their eating habits, to finally put an end to unhealthy eating habits, but also be able to release the weight for good and put an end to emotional eating, stress eating, boredom, or any unhealthy eating habit that people might have. So without further ado, you're going to hear me walk through and break down a actual live coaching call that I have with Allison. And stay tuned, because at the end, I'm going to share a bit more of information that can definitely impact your life. Stay tuned. Let's go. You are incredible. Your body has a purpose. Your life has a purpose. You were designed to live the best life possible. How was this week? Talk to me.
Good,
Brand new
good.
week.
I feel like, I mean, a lot of the same stuff. Like, I feel like, some of the discussions that we had last week, making me more aware of kind of really why I'm doing those behaviors.
Yeah,
Um, and what's going on in that moment, what's really going on in that moment, like what
right.
really is driving me to behave like that. So I feel like I've had a chance to answer some more of those self-awareness questions,
Good.
write a little more and read to myself about like that letter to myself,
Awesome.
which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like I'm still doing well with like the nutrition aspect, but I
good.
am noticing, yeah, and Saturday night was the first time. Remember last weekend we went out to eat, Chris and I,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
Yeah.
Saturday night we went to a friend's house. And this is a friend who, like, we hang out all night. Our kids get along, we drink, we eat, we have a great
Mm-hmm.
time. But I didn't. I had watched the video about eating during holidays and
Yeah.
gatherings,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah. I mean, like how I prepared for it during the day leading up
Good.
to.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of myself because pretty naturally, like normally when I have that mentality that I'm going to do that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to stuff my face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drink to excess. If they have dessert, oh my God, I can't control myself. I'm really gonna eat everything.
Yeah.
And with little to no thought, I had a big part of salad. They had a really good salad.
Good.
I had two small squares, two pieces of pizza, two small squares of
Yeah.
pizza, which was great.
Fantastic. That's good.
Fine, I enjoyed it. And then when I was drinking, I this was the only purposeful thing, a glass of water
Good.
after every glass, which I
Fantastic.
know is the good way to do it. But I mean, I really
That's awesome.
focused on,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I was like, I
Right.
literally had a glass of wine and a glass of water.
Good.
And I would like drink some wine and then I would drink some water. And
Good.
yeah, first of all, it slowed me down not to drink so much,
That's right. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was still enjoying myself. I was
Of
enjoying the
course.
wine. I was enjoying the feel, like, and then when the dessert came out, I thought, actually, I didn't think anything. That's what I'm saying. Like it came out and I was like, that looks good. And then I was like, I see there's like store-bought cookies there. Normally I would have been like, I'm gonna have one of each.
Yeah.
And she had homemade brownies, and I think homemade brownies are the bomb. So
Mm-hmm.
I took myself a homemade brownie, I ate it, I enjoyed it, and it was done.
That was it.
Yeah.
Good.
And I didn't
Good.
think about these things at the time, but yesterday when I was doing my, you know, um, weekly review and stuff, I thought about that and I'm like, obviously something has shifted. I'm not saying I understand, these things are
Yeah.
still there 100%. And, but I just thought, this is a good feeling,
That's right. You're taking
because,
control.
yeah. And it wasn't even really, it was just like, but I felt better at the end of the night. I felt
That's
better
right.
in the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
then yesterday I was like, okay, just right back to the beginning again, right
That's it.
back, you know,
That's it. That's it.
yeah,
And so one we have this understanding and we have this awareness, right? And we know the strategy on the game plan of like, how am I going to handle this, right? And I go in prepared. All it does is it allows you to enjoy yourself, have freedom. We remove the anxiety, the stress,
right,
right? And you live, you
right,
enjoy.
right,
And there is no shame, there is no judgment, there is no sabotaging yourself.
right.
It's just you're living, right?
Yeah. And I was perfectly happy. And it was like, okay, instead of being stuffed
That's right.
or drink too much
Yeah,
or, I just, and then obviously I stayed hydrated. So then that helped,
that's right.
a lot. So yeah, I just felt like that was a very good experience. And then also I'm noticing like I have a lot more energy, a
Good.
lot more energy. Like I am able to also think a little more clearly, like, you know what I mean? Like instead of
Good.
being kind of foggy, like what was it that I was going to do? Like, I mean, I write
Yeah,
things
of
down for myself, in the beginning of
course.
the day and kind of get myself, but yeah, I just feel like that has been something that I've noticed definitely too. I don't know what I did to my back, that was like so bizarre. I mean, I
Yeah.
know what it feels like to be sore. That
Yeah.
wasn't that. I definitely like pulled, tweaked, twisted something, and I
Hmm.
had no idea. It was the neck, but it was even like on the side of the shoulder
Yeah.
blade. It was like every time I moved,
Hmm.
like when to get in the car, to get
Hmm.
up off the couch or out of bed, I felt like I had had a C-section again. I was
Yeah.
like, what? But when I rested and I put some heat on it and I did some of the stretches, it did resolve itself pretty quickly. But
Good.
I woke up on
Yeah.
Thursday morning. It was just like, what did I do? So who knows what I did, but it's gone.
Yeah. Slept wrong.
So
We
thank you.
slept wrong, right? Wrong movement, wrong placement
It was
on the
actually in the
neck,
middle of the
wrong
night. Yeah.
movement. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the night. I woke up on Wednesday in the middle of the night and I was like, like that sharp pain. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I was just sleeping. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for
Yeah.
the stretches because that helped too. Or the
Absolutely.
idea of like trying to increase the movement,
Hmm.
obviously gently and in a
Yeah.
controlled way, but I just was like, this is ridiculous. And it wasn't like, oh, I did too many squats or too many lunges
Of course.
and I can't
Yeah.
walk
Yeah.
down the stairs or
Yeah.
stand up. It was, yeah. So thank you. Much
Of
better.
course. My
It
pleasure.
did throw
That's
a
what
little
I'm
bit of
here
a
for.
wrench in my exercise, but that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
That's it, right? You deal with it and you move on. Day goes
Right.
on, a new week comes, and you
Right.
just handle it then. Look, and
Yeah.
and that's where this kindness piece and awareness piece are so critical, right? To
Yeah.
know that like we're not robots, we're not machines, we're humans, and in that it's normal.
Yeah.
We're going to have some tweaks. Our body may not necessarily like certain things. We're going to have some soreness. We might battle, but so it's like this little ability to just go with the process, pivot, swing side to side, like just shift through it and
Right.
find your way through it with ease,
Right.
because then we eliminate this anxiety and the stress aspect of like, now I need to go to critical self
Yeah.
to justify the reasons why this is happening.
Right.
And so now you
Right.
come up with this idea, or you make up this idea to then bash yourself to find a reason for what's happening. When in reality, those things are just kind of out of your control. You
Right.
slept wrong, I slept wrong, right? I did
Yeah.
this, it happened. Like,
Right. It's just another part of just another part of your day. Just like
well,
move on.
but then it comes into like what we were talking about last week, right? It's about acknowledging and accepting what is actually happening here.
Mhm.
Most times we don't want to acknowledge, we don't want to accept that we're angry, that we're sad, that we're frustrated, that we have pain, right? It's like,
Right.
if I have pain, oh, what did you do?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
How could you have done this? Why did you sleep wrong? Right? Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like,
That was completely.
acknowledge
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I slept wrong. Okay.
Right.
I'm
Right.
acknowledging it, I'm accepting it, but acknowledging it in a kind way, but in an acceptance way of
Right.
like recognizing there is nothing wrong with
Yeah. So why would I
accepting.
be angry about it? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
we don't accept, or when we don't recognize what he just said offended me, what you just did made me angry, what you
Yeah.
just did to me made me sad, right? Because we look at those things as negatives. They're not.
Right.
They're a part
Right.
of our being human, right? They're a part of
It's so funny.
life.
I tell my kids that all the time. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like, there's nothing wrong with feeling these feelings. This is part, yeah, it's what we do with it from that point.
that's right.
Like, how do
That's
we,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so
definitely.
acknowledging it now gives you control to decide, now, what am I going to allow it to do to me?
Right.
Am I going to allow it to define me, put me down, right? Devastate
Yeah.
me, destroy me? Or I'm
Yeah.
going to acknowledge it. I'm angry. Okay. Why am I angry? Right.
Right.
We take a reset, analyze the situation, what is going on. And so we then, by doing that, we shut down our critical self that
Yes.
wants to judge us, shame us, and find a justification for what is going on. And that justification is always going to be negative, to
Yes.
bash ourselves and put ourselves down, to find a reason for why this has happened.
Yeah.
And we want to start like destroying that critical self,
Right.
right? It's important to have critical self there because it helps us keep us in check sometimes. Like, hey, 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 what are you doing? Like, that's a stupid thing, don't do it. That's
Right.
critical self, right? And it does come in handy when we're about to
Yeah.
do some dumb stuff, right? Or
Right.
some
Right.
ignorant things.
Right.
But we don't need critical self to come up in circumstances that things that just happen, that we're acknowledging, to try to cover what we're really feeling, to find a
Right.
justification because it's quote unquote wrong. It's wrong for you to be angry, it's wrong for you
Yeah.
to be sad, it's
Yeah.
wrong for you to be disappointed. It's not.
No. Right.
Right. Why am I
Yeah.
gonna be ashamed of it? Why am I gonna be judgmental about it? Acknowledge it. What is it? If somebody offended you, hey, you know what you just said, it really offended me. Like, could we maybe have a conversation about
Yeah.
it? As opposed to, she's stupid, you're stupid. How could you
Yeah.
let her do that to you? Right? Like, and now
Yeah.
you're judging yourself and shaming yourself.
Yeah.
And then that brings anxiety, then that
Hmm.
brings stress on you. And then if
Hmm.
that stress is linked to going to food, what do you end up doing? You end up going to
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
food. And so
all this practice that we're doing is really just to continue to bring awareness, right? And to
Yeah.
really understand what makes me tick,
Yeah.
right? What gets me fired up? What makes me um, triggered to go to these things
Right.
that I've always gone to? And so the more we get to know ourselves, Allison, it's like then now we can know, yeah, I need to be careful here. I need to look at
Yeah.
this. Don't shame this.
Yes,
Don't judge
for
this,
sure.
right? And now it gives you back the power of choice
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Yeah.
to now decide how is this stress going to impact? What am I going to now do when I'm stressed, right?
Right.
Versus just react, react, react.
Right.
No, no, no. We don't want to react because that reaction is a bad behavior, leads
Right.
me to a bad behavior.
And yelling too,
Of
yelling and
course,
emotional eating. Yeah.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Especially when these two are linked together,
Yes.
which 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, most us humans have that connection,
Right.
right? Again, why? Because when we eat, dopamine levels go high. It spikes our reward system and makes us feel good. It makes us feel better. That's why it's so easy to
Yeah.
associate, oh, when I'm stressed, let's go to food. When
Right.
I'm angry, let's go to food. When I'm depressed, let's go to food, right?
Yeah.
And
For
so
sure.
now acknowledging what's going on, asking ourselves questions through this process of things that start to come up. But when you
Hmm.
know yourself, it's like, yeah, I want to avoid that. I'm going to like take a deep breath when this happens,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm
Yeah.
going to now have these things that we're going to start working on today to really help us, boom, just take control over them a lot faster. Cool.
Yeah.
Any challenges that are coming up? Anything specifically that you are kind of running up against?
Yeah, the one thing I think I definitely, and I told you I already I shop on usually the weekend. So
Yeah,
I start writing down like what we're gonna have for dinner. Like I do prepare that
good.
so that it's just much easier, and I've always done that. But I think I
Yeah,
was telling you, like, I think I do need to start, especially now because I am eating a little bit differently in a
yeah,
good way. I need
good.
to do a little bit of meal prepping for like breakfast
Okay,
and lunch, especially with my schedule where it's like I don't always have a lot of time to
right.
think about it. And thus far, I've been able to like on the fly make good
Hmm.
choices and
Good.
not just eat cheese and hard boiled eggs, which I'm really proud of because 2 years
Yeah,
ago that
yeah,
was like and I enjoyed it because I enjoy cheese, hard boiled eggs, but clearly I understand now
yeah.
the new thing that you've taught me about. I think I've actually been doing very well with it, but I could see it. I need to have a little more structure to it. And I did put that in like our
Good,
weekly review, like and even like as a goal, maybe.
good, good. So then let's look at that. We'll break that down tonight,
Okay.
today, and then
Okay.
we'll also jump into some of the triggers, things that
And
I
I did
want
fill
to
some of
look
that
at.
stuff out on the discovery workbook.
Okay, fantastic. So let's.
And I put on a pair of pants, pretty sure they're not as tight, but
Okay.
I'm not I'm not getting on the scale and
Yeah.
I'm not getting into that yet
No need
because
to.
I don't feel it's necessary at all. But I will
Good.
tell you, two pairs of pants I put on, I was like, these feel better in my stomach.
Good.
So that
Good.
made me happy.
That's right. Of
I
course.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah. That's all I need right now for that.
That's it. That's it. Because all these other things that we're working on now, right? On the psychological side, on the emotional side, on all of these things is going to take care of itself. It's going to take care of
Right.
everything else.
Right. I get it. Makes
Good.
sense. I mean,
Good.
truthfully, like and that's why I feel good about it because I'm like, it's gonna happen.
That's right.
Like I'm
That's right.
really just not concerned about it. Yeah. I
That's
mean, it
right.
would be nice if some of it happened by summer. So when I tried to put on my shorts
Yeah.
and my bathing suit, and I said,
Yeah.
well, yeah, well, it's February.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I honestly, that's a win for me. I don't even know if I
Good.
put it in there, but the fact that I am clearly, I really don't care right
Good.
now.
Good.
Yeah.
And I think we can even identify, we can even craft a affirmation in that
Yeah.
statement, right?
Yeah.
In what you're describing there, because um, this old thought at some point is going to keep wanting to
Of
creep
course.
in. And
Of
so we
course.
want to now shut it down. How? By recrafting this new belief.
Okay.
So let's if you can write that on your notes so that we could come back to that, and then I will put it on here.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. I didn't even.
Oh yeah, happy Valentine's Day. That's
I
right.
totally slipped.
Oh, you would think I wouldn't know. Oh my God, my young kids are like it's Christmas. I'm like, guys, I love
That
you
is
all the
so
time.
cute.
But today we get some chocolates, you know, dad
Yeah,
got
yeah,
flowers.
yeah.
And then
That's
dad had to
cute.
get Ashley some flowers too, because when Chris last year, when Chris
Wow.
brought flowers for me, even though she was with him when they bought them, these are for mommy. When I took them in the vase, she goes, I don't have any Valentine's flowers.
Oh
So
my
this year,
goodness.
Chris got her some flowers. And my dad used to do that when I was little. So that was
That's cute.
endearing and sweet to me. It made me think of my dad. Yeah, for sure.
That is cute. That is cute.
So she was happy.
Awesome.
All right, so in this particular part of the coaching call, Allison starts to open up and share how this coaching has started to impact different areas of her life. She shares the effects that it's starting to have and things that she starts to recognize, right? And this is really cool because every time or anytime we're starting a new journey or we're starting a process, right? And we start to recognize, oh my goodness, this is new. Oh my gosh, look at, I'm no longer challenged with this. I'm no longer dealing with this, right? I no longer have struggles with energy. I have more energy. I'm able to do more, right? I don't think the same anymore. Now I process things differently. I understand differently. Things start to become easier. This is when things really start to shift in a very positive direction because we really now start to understand this is doable, right? This is achievable. I'm doing this. This is something that I am having success with, right? And that's cool because in this whole journey, when we start to really understand, like, what is causing me to stay stuck here, right? Why am I still not able to overcome this area, right? Why am I stuck in this type of situation or in this type of life? When we understand that, and we simplify it for our lives and we start to take very significantly important steps or intentional steps, look, things start to change. And so it's really cool. And I'm excited for you all to hear this part so you can really see how Allison is being impacted by this training. So let's have a listen.
But doesn't it feel so good to like just have this control or like ability to now just like decide for yourself
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
judging yourself because you're not doing it right and well, you didn't know how to do it or didn't have a plan of action on how to
Right.
do it. So therefore, all
Right.
you're doing is just like, and so then that leads us to just really destroy ourselves with food because it's like, well,
Yeah.
screw it. I'm gonna screw up anyway. So like, why
That's
even
exactly. Yeah.
try it?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I love that you're like you're such a you're such a good student. Like
Thank you.
you're so coachable. You're so like you take it
Thank
and you
you.
just take action. You take action.
And because I
You're
mean, when I do something, it's like, yeah, like I'm gonna do this, and obviously
yeah,
this is different than what you know, it's like little snippets I have gone
yeah,
to in the past, but I've
right,
never been able to go further because I've never had anyone that could help me. So it was just
yeah,
like I just kept like hitting the wall,
yeah,
you know, and I'm like, oh, but
right,
I do research and I gain knowledge, but then it's
hmm,
like,
yeah,
and I don't feel
yeah,
like that this time. And so that's why
good.
I know it's different.
Yeah. And you're like just making strides, right? You're feeling so much. I
Yeah.
mean, just from our first conversation to who you are today in just four
Yeah.
weeks, like, I mean, your face is glowing. You're so much more energetic. You're so much more happy. Like you're
Yeah.
just,
And
you
it's
come
extending into
alive.
my life. Like I'm more patient with my kids. Because I'm thinking about when I have that reaction. I'm being more
Yeah.
patient with them. I'm enjoying like getting up in the morning. Like I'm getting up in the morning, no problem. I'm getting started with my day. It's
Yeah.
okay. I feel like I'm being more loving towards Chris,
Mm,
like how I used to be when I was younger, because
yeah.
I'm loving myself, obviously, and then obviously I'm feeling better, you
Absolutely.
know, and that's priceless to me. Obviously, the other aspects are important to me, but I understand that this is what the real
Yeah. Yeah.
gift is.
You work on self The weight takes care of itself. The toning takes care of itself. The getting new clothes and fitting in smaller clothes takes care of itself, right? It takes care of itself.
Right.
And in that, like, how many more areas are being impacted?
Right.
Your marriage, your kids, your life, relationships, your work life. I mean,
Even my annoyance, like with my mom, you'll see in the triggers, like it's a mix of I'm worried about her,
yeah,
I get annoyed about some of the choices that she per- makes, like knowingly and stuff like that. Even now I'm like, instead of when I think about her thinking like guilt, like, oh, I love my mom so much, but I'm angry with her, but I'm just like,
yeah,
that's my mom. And we'll
that's
talk
right.
to her about that. I mean, clearly there's still some issues there, but
Of course.
like
Yeah,
you're saying, like my whole, like how I'm looking at things
yeah,
is better, is calmer, is not as say angry, but
yeah,
kind of, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, your perspective is shifted, your
Right.
beliefs are shifting, right? And we're healing all these other areas that were causing us to fall into this behavior pattern of emotional eating, stress eating, right? And
Yeah.
just destructive habits.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleeping all day, like that kind of stuff. That's another one. Like I haven't had the urge. And by urge, I mean not that I'm tired. Urge.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to think about this. I'm mad about something. Don't like the way I act about something. Go sleep. Go sleep until the kid get home.
Mm,
I haven't had the urge to do that at
I
all. Like
mean,
it's just not even.
that's powerful.
And there's been the same stuff going on in my everyday
Yeah,
life. That's always going on in my everyday life.
that's right.
So I mean, it's
Yeah.
not.
Your ability to
Yeah, it is.
handle the situation is so much better, right?
Yeah,
And like you say, it's priceless, girl.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
that's why this is so powerful and why our health is so much bigger than us and how it impacts so many areas. And this is what a lot of times people don't understand.
Right,
They're trying to live chasing a stupid number, which again, don't get me wrong, it's important, but
right.
it should not drive everything and control
No,
everything.
no.
Because when we're
Right.
talking about health, it's so much bigger.
Yes, yes.
And
Agreed.
that's
And I
exactly
and
what
I
you're
do.
experiencing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
So, in this particular section of the coaching call, I was encouraging a growth mindset. One of the things that she was coming up against was that because she is so, her whole life, she was always measuring her success based on some type of acknowledgement, some type of reward, right? In her younger years, she was able to measure her success with some type of reward, with the diploma, with good grades, right? With some type of achievement. But as she got older and she started in her career, one thing that was coming up was that she was very, very critical on herself because she felt that she wasn't being good enough. She wasn't doing good enough. She wasn't a good enough mom. She wasn't a good enough wife. She wasn't a good enough employee. She wasn't a good enough woman as a whole, right? So she was being very critical and putting herself down. And what we talk about in this particular part of the call, the coaching call, is that I encourage a growth mindset, meaning that every situation that comes up where she might feel that I didn't do good enough, I could have done better, right? I could have made this better choice, I could have observed this or evaluated this differently, or I could have taken a different approach. Instead of beating herself up and allowing critical self to come and be judgmental and to bring blame, right? And to point the finger at herself, right? It was more about allowing every situation to be a moment that we can learn from, that we can grow from, and asking questions as we're going through these situations and circumstances, because they'll allow us to then learn from each particular circumstance, from each particular situation that we're dealing with, right? So let's deep dive into this section of the coaching call and see how we handle that.
Mentally. And that's the thing I'd like to work on is viewing like that particular loss or struggle as a way to grow. Like
Yeah.
I'm wrapping my head around it and I understand the value of it, but
Yeah.
sometimes I don't always do it in the moment. So
Yeah. And so that comes back to this question, right? That when we do have loss, right, or we
right.
have a struggle, it's immediately training our brain to coming back to what can I learn from this?
Yes.
So the first question is what just happened, right? We
Hmm.
acknowledge it, right? Like, ooh, um, I don't know. I just snapped at my kids
Yeah.
and I feel I handled the situation totally wrong. That's
Yeah.
what happened, right? What can I learn from this particular moment? And so through questions, we now start to find the solution, right? Because the solution lives in us. And so we allow ourselves now to figure this out as opposed to you're stupid, you're a moron, how could you do that?
Right.
You're a bad mom. Your kids are not
Right.
going to love you anymore. Like you're an idiot, right? You're doing
Yeah.
the same thing like your mom did to you,
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
It's like, whoa, before we even, and how do we do that? By immediately in the moment, like catching ourselves, but
Sensing.
making that shift, that
Yeah.
switch. Okay, what really happened here? What is going on? What can I learn from this situation? And what can I take away from it?
Yeah.
And so the more we start to practice this, the more we start to break it down is how we then start to now it's just instinctual, right? Something happening,
Yeah.
there's a loss, there's a struggle. Look, and when there is a loss or there is a struggle, it doesn't mean that you're like now going to be the superhero and not like acknowledge what happened and like
Right.
if you feel bad, oh, I'm not going to feel bad,
Yeah.
right? I'm going
It's
to just
okay.
suppress
Right.
it. It's okay. Like I'm He-Man, right? No. That's not what the growth mindset is. It's like if there is a loss or there is a struggle, like acknowledge, how do you feel? Oh,
Yeah.
dang, how could I have done that? I'm really angry right
Yeah.
now. Dang, I just messed up here, right? Like, frick,
Yeah.
this just
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Acknowledge what you're feeling. This is going back to what we talked about last week. You acknowledge this feeling. I'm really angry. This thing made me angry. I'm really angry at myself right now.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in myself because, man, this just happened. What
Yeah.
just happened? We break it down. What can I learn from it? Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of doing this, I should have done this instead. I shouldn't
Yeah.
have approached it this way, right?
Right.
I could have
Right.
held back my temper, right? Maybe I overreacted, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
from there, shake it off and then move
Yeah. Move on.
on.
Right.
Yeah. And not sit there in the shame and the judgment and like dwell on it.
Right.
You're a moron. Like, no, because it's not really that we're morons. It's like acknowledging the fact and accepting the fact that we're human and that our flaws is what makes us human and it's normal.
Right.
And there is no shame or no judgment. I'm just going to accept it, recover, and we move on, right? That's it. And that's how we
Definitely.
tackle loss and that's how we tackle struggles
Yeah.
in a healthy way. Because again, our critical self, when we don't acknowledge it, when we try to suppress this feeling, and we try to be this always right, I got this, I'm in control, right? Like I've got
Yeah.
this strong mindset. Yeah, okay, cool. You can live that way and keep destroying yourself through like destructive
Right.
words that you speak to yourself and
Yeah.
like harmful judgments and shaming on you, or you can just acknowledge it and like we set it aside and now we handle the situation in a healthy way. So now
Yeah.
that critical self isn't going to be there bashing us on our head that then causes us to get depressed and even worse in a
Right.
sad state, depressed state, which then now leads me to screw it.
Yeah.
Life sucks. It's just I already messed up here, so who cares?
That's it.
Let me
Yes.
sit here and eat a pint of ice cream, right? Let me
Right.
just destroy the whole day and like, who cares? I already messed up. I'm a failure. Let's just scarf all this food anyway. It's not gonna work for me. I'm never gonna release this weight. My life is never gonna change. Screw it. And so we end up on this freaking roller coaster
Yes.
of emotions.
Yes. Yes.
In this section, we break down the original question that she had at the beginning of the video regarding meal planning. I break down some practical steps, some practical strategies that help simplify her meal planning strategy. Look, at this stage, we had started to introduce some very significantly important nutritional principles. Because look, when we're trying to craft or develop a new lifestyle, nutrition is the biggest one that drives everything, right? We've been associating and helping her recognize like where her relationship with food has started, right? How her current relationship with food was influenced. And now it was about starting to get her inching into developing a better relationship with food, therefore understanding significantly important nutritional principles, and in that is preparation, right? So if we're not prepared, it literally makes it easy to go out and make other choices, right? So we don't have time to cook because we didn't prepare, and because we didn't prepare, we don't have anything ready. So therefore, I don't have time. So we go get takeout, we go get fast food, right? We go to restaurants. Not only are we spending more money, but we're also not staying in line with the life that we want to develop, which will ultimately just lead us to make unhealthy choices or continue to make unhealthy choices, right? So in this section, I break down some very simple, practical things that she can start implementing for her meal planning. So let's check it out.
Okay, so do you have a day that you can pick for
I
like
think
a time block of like 2 hours?
Yeah, I think Sundays. I think that is typically a good time for me.
Okay. Now, are
Yeah.
you the type of person that prefers to cook each day, or are you okay with like having food set up and then you can just eat it throughout the week?
Well, I would be fine with either. Typically dinner time, usually what like I make something one night and we eat it that night and the next night, either the same
Okay.
way or we just add something to it to make it a little bit different.
All right.
So, but I do cook, then every other night.
Okay. So one of the things that we could do, you've got two options, and I'll let you
Okay.
choose which one would be good for you. Let's say Sunday, right? You either take Sunday and we craft out, okay, I'm gonna make these things for lunch, and then I might prepare things for dinner, but not necessarily cook them. Like I'll
Yeah, I
prepare
do
the
do that sometimes
vegetables,
for
right?
dinner. Yeah.
I'll chop this, I'll chop that, right?
Yeah, 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 I do.
I'll season the proteins. I might make a whole thing of rice, brown rice, right? Or I might make a whole thing of couscous that I
Got it.
can use either for lunch or for dinner, and I can
Okay.
mix it up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That's what I need. Yeah, yeah.
And so, for example, with me, what I do is I'll pick one day or 2 days and I will make two complex carbs. I usually go with brown rice and couscous, right? Or
Okay.
like brown rice and sweet potato,
Okay.
right? I really like brown rice, so that's kind of like my staple. I figured out what I'm okay with, like
Yeah.
repeating numerous times throughout the day,
Yeah, okay.
and be
Okay.
okay with it.
Yeah, okay.
Or that might be like whole wheat pasta, right? Or whole grain
Right.
pasta, or quinoa, right? Whatever
Yeah.
that might be for you, I would say pick two that you all can really enjoy and like don't mind mixing up throughout the day.
Okay.
And you make a batch of those because those are easy to make and they're easy
Yeah.
to store,
Ye
and
they,
they
like,
last.
last. Okay.
They last. They don't go bad fairly fast.
Okay.
And then I do the same thing with the vegetables. I like to buy my vegetables for like the staples, like when I'm talking about cauliflower, broccoli, um, which are really like my two, or even like mixed vegetables. I like to buy those frozen
Okay.
versus having to get the fresh and chopping them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the thing with vegetables is that all they do is they blanch them and then they put them in a blast chiller and then they freeze them. So they don't really lose the nutrients.
No, I've heard that's, like, one of the best ways that you can eat them because then it
Yeah,
doesn't degrade after time.
because a lot of times you then get the fresh ones, you overcook them, and so now you're like losing the nutrients anyway. So like,
Right.
why go through the struggle and the headache and that? Unless I
Yeah.
want something very unique, like say asparagus, right? I would never buy
Yeah.
those frozen. They take like like crap frozen, right?
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather
I
buy
get
them fresh and cook them in the moment for like dinner or something.
Yeah.
But I pick also 1 to 2 vegetables. That could be peppers, that could be broccoli, that could be
Yeah.
cauliflower, that could be corn, whatever it is. And then
Yeah.
I also make that in batch.
Okay.
And so now I've got
Yeah.
2 vegetables, 2
Yeah.
complex carbs that I
Yeah.
know I can mix around, whether it's for lunch or for dinner.
Okay.
And then
Yeah. And I understand it takes some practice. Yeah.
go ahead.
Figuring out.
Yeah, it's look, once you pick your go-to foods, I kind of like to say it, call them,
Right. Yeah.
I can then I can get as unique as I want with the protein,
Right. Okay.
right? And so what I like to do, I literally cook it all in one day. Like I'll do all of that
Oh,
stuff in one day. I knock it out in 2 hours. It doesn't take me ever more than 2 hours, and I
yeah.
have food for the entire week.
Wow. Yeah. Especially with lunch and like breakfast, that kind of stuff for me, because
That's
like I
right.
said, dinner, I have to take into account a little more like Nick and Ashley, and I have to think about, okay, and sometimes the
Yeah, which is
evening.
understandable. But if it's for
Yeah.
you, like you already know, like, oh, I can have this, I can have
Right.
this, I can
Right.
have this for lunch. Like, screw it. Why not just like make it the whole week? You have it
So
there.
when
And
you
I
make your
buy big
protein,
Tupperwares, like
yeah.
they're literally about this big,
Yeah. I've seen those.
and
Yeah.
I put it all in there and then I just grab from there
Yeah.
if I
I
want to
think
heat
some
it
of it
up.
is I have to do more experimentation of what I like, because I,
Yeah,
I do kind of have an idea what I like, and I'm not super picky, but it's like that's what I've been trying to do the last couple weeks is like, okay, you don't just be like, oh, maybe I'll have that vegetable with dinner that I already planned on. Like every time you eat
that's right.
vegetable, so
That's right.
I feel
That's right.
like some of it is I do need to experiment more, like with the frozen vegetables, because you're right. Once you know what my problem was, I can't quite get the thing of putting like the frozen stir fry vegetable, and then I add a little oil, but then it becomes soggy because it's melting, so
Yeah, so here's
it's
what
a
I
little
do. You're ready
mess.
for this? I get
Yeah.
I get the frozen bags and I'll put them in the microwave for 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I basically thaw them,
Oh, okay.
right? Not to where they're like cooked in the microwave.
No,
I just put them enough to that they're soft. Like they're no
about
longer
3 minutes.
frozen. Now
Yeah.
they're soft, right?
Okay.
And then if there's any small amounts of water in the packet,
Yeah.
I just dump it out.
Like in the
So
colander. Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I just that's why I want to do these classes, right? Like I really
Okay.
want to show you guys some of the things. I literally get a bag, I'll poke some holes in the bag,
Yeah.
put it in the microwave for three
Yeah.
minutes, three and a
Yeah.
half minutes. I take it out, I just rip the bag, I toss out any water that
Okay.
might be in there. And then from there, I have my skillet. I might throw
Yeah.
some garlic in there, right? Maybe some
Right.
pepper flakes in there with a
Right.
little dab of oil, make sure it's really hot. And
Yeah.
then I throw in the vegetables and I
Okay.
just let them sear. Toss,
Okay.
toss, toss. I'll throw in a little bit of soy sauce. I'll throw in a little bit of maybe some hot pepper sauce or
Yeah.
some hot sauce or whatever it is, some balsamic vinegar, anything
Right.
that you want to just add for some flavor. Toss, toss, a
Yeah.
little salt, and that's it.
Okay.
That's it
That
for
helps
me,
me. I mean, it sounds simple, but yeah, that helps me
right?
organize
But
like my idea.
maybe you want garlic and some onion, right? Some leeks, maybe some shallots, maybe some
Yeah.
parsley, right? Maybe some I don't know. You can get
Yeah.
as
I have to
creative
kind
as
of
you
like,
want.
decide like, okay, what is this palette? Like, what do I want to do
Yeah.
right now?
So one
And
thing
then
I
maybe next
also
week, yes.
no, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, maybe this week I like do more of like spicy, like Mexican,
That's
spices, like
right.
kind of taste.
Yeah.
And then maybe the next week I do like a lot of different types of
Yeah.
things, like more like Chinese food, kind of like, and I know you have to
Yeah.
be careful with like your sauces and stuff. I get that. I
So
get that. And then
one thing I like to encourage to do, and this is gonna I'll give you kind of a heads up, a little um, preview of one of the things that I'm gonna teach you all in the class is I like to pre-make spices. So I'll get like 5 to 10 different spices that I like,
yeah,
and then I will just put them together with the ones that I think will be good,
right,
right?
like to
Like
make your own
salt,
blend.
pepper, garlic, and paprika. That's one, right? Another
Got
one
it.
could be like salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, and maybe parsley flakes, right? Another one can be like ginger, a little bit of Chinese spice, salt,
Yes.
and maybe some garlic powder, and that's another one, right? So I make these different blends, and I already
Yeah.
have them. So if
Yeah.
today
Right.
I
Right. Right.
want
You
an
don't have to
Italian
measure
flavor, I don't
Yeah.
have to think about it. They're there. I
Right.
just grab and
Yeah.
add it to my protein, add it to my vegetables. So
Yeah.
this is the preparation that now starts to set us up to like not have to be so bland or like, oh my gosh, complicate things. It's like I'm creating the system. These are,
Right.
and then you can take it another level and like put a little label on it and put what are my spices that I'm putting in this container.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
now all you
Like,
do is like you keep repeating it, but the one thing that you do is you taste the seasoning. Do I like it? What does it
yeah.
need? What is it missing? Right?
Okay.
And then you have your spices, and now you can use that on your chicken, you can use that on your meat, you can use that on your
Yeah.
vegetables, right? And so I just season the vegetable. I'm sorry, season my meat. I can
Yeah.
either leave them in the fridge and then cook them throughout the day individually, or like me, I just make them all in a batch. Put
Oh,
them in a
okay. I see what
Tupperware,
you're saying. Yeah.
and I just grab and go, grab and go, grab and go.
Okay. And so when you make your protein, like, I don't know, I think my mom got this idea in my head that you're like, you should really only eat meat for like 3 days. Like, there's something in my head
Nah,
about like the third day. That's not really
nah,
true. As long
that's
as
not true.
obviously it's keeping it in the refrigerator and
Of
you've
course.
sealed it, you know,
It'll last that a week.
you're
I've
fine.
done that.
Right.
I've done that my entire life
No big deal.
since I
Yeah.
started training and
Yeah.
never had any issues. I would make
Yeah.
steak, I would make ground beef, I would make chicken like
Yeah. No, that's
in
just
batch,
something.
and it was good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So
That helps me. I could get started with that.
Allison, what do you like? Right?
Yeah.
Start making, jot down some ideas of what foods that you
Yeah.
like, and then I would just make them that one Sunday, and now you have your whole week. I promise you, less thinking, and all you're gonna do is just grab.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to faster.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it. And when I go ahead and plan my dinners at the end of the week, I'm gonna just go ahead and start like just making some ideas. Like, okay, these are combinations of these things that I know that I like,
That's
and
right.
then on Sunday I'll try. Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah. And then
Sounds
you
good.
can even go for your breakfast. What I sometimes used to do, I don't do it so much now, but I would
Yeah.
prepare it the night before. So I would get the eggs, I would whip them up, I'd put them in a
Yeah.
Tupperware, they're already ready, right? I would portion out, get an idea for my oatmeal. I portion out the whole week. That's exactly what my girlfriend does too. She has little
Yeah.
mini Tupperware. She portions out all the amount of oatmeal that she has. She has it already there in a dry container.
Yeah.
In the morning, she just adds her water, microwave, and eats,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The eggs
Okay.
are
Cool.
already whipped up. You just throw them on a skillet. You cook them up, throw some spinach,
I
throw
like me
whatever
some
you
eggs.
want, and that's
Yeah.
it,
All right.
right?
That sounds good.
And so I don't necessarily like to pre-cook my eggs,
Right.
but I pre-whip them and they're already there.
It's fine then. You've already done so much of that
That's
stuff. Yeah.
right. And it
Yeah.
literally takes us 5 minutes the night before, maybe 10 minutes max the night
Right.
before. And all
Yeah.
you wake up is take action, take action, take action.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
those are things that you can incorporate in your evening routine as well,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
I take 10
Yes.
minutes. This is what I do. I prep my breakfast. Then from there, I go do this, I do that, I get ready for bed, and I go to sleep.
Yep.
It's
Sounds great.
all about preparation in everything, right? Whatever we don't
True.
prepare for, it's going to set us back.
True. True.
You do the same thing for
Definitely.
your kids, right? You prepare your lesson plan the night before, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe for the
Yeah.
whole week. Same concept.
And even with my kids at home, uh, the night before we talk about what we're gonna have
Yeah,
for the next day for lunch. Like, I try to make them a part of it. Sometimes I just give them
good.
two choices. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah,
Here's what we're gonna do. And then I
right,
do make it the night before for them. And their snacks.
right.
They take a snack to school. And so
Yeah,
I'm not pulling junk food to throw in their bags. So like, I already do it for my children,
yeah,
just do it for myself.
that's right.
True of a
Less
lot of
head.
things. Yeah.
No, but this is great because look, when we're in this process, right? A lot of times we we get these blocks because there is a little bit of this fear of like, how do I do it? I don't know how to do it right. Am I going to mess up? And so it's
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
but we just want to simplify it as much as possible so that we could just take action.
Exercises can be a tricky one when we're starting a journey, right? Because we have this understanding or this belief or this idea that exercise has to be a specific way, right? We have to be doing certain exercises. We have to be maybe going to the gym, right? Or we have to be doing some strenuous, long, crazy exercise routine and doing some influencer exercises, right? So in this particular section, I break down and really allow her to grasp a greater understanding, right? And a concept of exercise that makes sense for her. Because look, here's the reality. Not all exercise looks the same. And not all exercise is going to be the same for everyone. We're different levels, we enjoy different things, we're different people, we have a different lifestyle, we have different time, right, that we can invest in things. We may have kids, we may not have kids, we might be business owners, we might be corporate employees. Like, it's different across the board. And so we've started to introduce really simplifying the exercise process for her because, look, yes, it's important, right? Exercise is important, but also it's important to do things that are enjoyable to you, right? And really understanding that in spite of challenges that may arise, like, it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to be flexible and allow yourself some kindness as we're developing some type of exercise routine, some type of exercise regimen, right? Or just something that is going to allow you to get moving, right? So in this section, I break down some very simple topics here and strategies that help her understand how to exercise efficiently based on where she is at, right? So I'm basically meeting her where she's at so that she can receive it and be able to take action. So let's check it out.
How are the workouts feeling? How are you doing with that? How's your body feeling? How are you
Actually,
responding? Are you
really
getting
good.
better with your movements?
Yes, I'm gonna add the bands this week. I just
Okay.
was waiting to add the bands because I really wanted to remind myself about my form and get back into it and
Yeah.
be able to do it quickly so I could kind of like build a little sweat, a
Yeah.
little bit, like not too quick, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get that. And I feel like that's pretty good now. And I'm wondering if maybe I'm finally doing lunges the correct way
Okay.
because like not moving that front leg,
Okay. Yeah.
because my quads, like
Good.
for the 25 reps, like I have to do 10 on one side, 10 on the other side, 10 on one side, 10. I cannot do 25. Would you prefer that I do it that way, but still get the 25 in?
Yeah,
Or,
that works.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
literally 6 weeks out. Like I can't. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh, I think I'm actually maybe doing lunges the correct way.
That's right. If you want to
Okay.
send me a quick video, I can take a
Yeah.
look at
Okay.
it
Okay.
whenever you're doing them, and then I can let you know.
That sounds good.
Awesome. So
All right, so this next section of the coaching call is very important and a pivotal piece of the coaching strategy because we talk about triggers. So what is a trigger? It's basically anything, a situation, an event, a circumstance that makes you tick, right? Something happens, it creates some type of stimulated emotion that produces some type of behavior, right? So something happens, you get angry, and then you demonstrate that anger, right? In this case for her, what we do, or any type of person, right? In any student of mine, any client, what we do is we identify what types of things are triggering you to go to food, right? And we look at Allison, we start to go deeper into those triggers because a lot of times we as humans want to stay very generic or very superficial, right? It's like, oh, he said this to me, so this made me angry, right? Or this happened, somebody told me the dress didn't look good, so I got angry, right? That's superficial. What we want to do is we want to go deeper in really identifying what is it about what's just happening or what's happened that is really making me trigger, right? That is setting me off, that is making me tick, that is producing this emotion in me that is then leading me to go to food. Because there's a direct connection there, right? Between the trigger and your action, right? Or your behavior being the food that you're going to. So we need to identify what that is. So in this particular section, we start to break down one of hers, which was control. Growing up, she always wanted to be in control, right? And have certain control about what was happening in her environment, in her surroundings, in the things that she did, because that helped her feel empowered, right? But feel like she was in control, right? So there was two dynamics here. The aspect of being in control and then the aspect of being out of control. Both of these were pivotal triggers for her because we had to identify what were those things that were causing her to want to be hyper controlled in a hyper controlled state, right? And then what was causing her to feel out of control, which was both producing an unhealthy behavior, right? Meaning she was going to food, she was going to sugar, she was going emotionally to these foods to release her emotions or to release whatever she had within her, hoping to find better comfort, right? Or hoping to find an out, right? A relief. But also in that, the other part of it was that food, she felt in control because she could control that, right? So there was a lot of control and being out of control that were triggers for her. And so in this section, we break that down, and I hope you can enjoy how this process worked.
Again, a lot of them may already come from up here,
Yeah.
but why do we keep breaking down these examples and why do you think we're doing this?
Because then it really gives you the idea of what's going on, like
Yeah,
what you're thinking. And the more that you can break it down, then when it's happening,
that's right.
it's just not like you're more control of it because you know what's going on.
You're more aware of it, but also it helps you to see exactly what these things are.
Yeah, right, right.
So when they happen, boom, your mind already is so, and it catches it instead of before you don't even recognize it. And now you're just like automatically in this repeated destructive behavior.
Yeah, yeah,
So again, what we're doing is by showing the brain all of these things, we're literally starting to rewire it to identify. And now through the behavior practice that we're going to start doing, it's like now going to change
okay.
through this. Oh, this is what it is. Then we take the change, right?
Right. And there's that like the declaration that you were kind of talking about a little bit.
That's
I
right.
forgot.
That's right. Which we're
Okay.
gonna go in through right now for a moment. But
Okay.
before we get into actually doing this declaration,
Yeah.
there's gonna be one step before that, okay?
Okay.
Which again, by you telling yourself eat this and eat that, what are you essentially doing?
Controlling.
Controlling, right? So this is one thing that you can control. So therefore, that's why now it becomes so automatic. Because I don't have control of this, I
Right.
do have control of this. So this is going to make me feel better again because of the things that I was
Right.
raised upon, right? You have to,
Right.
it's got to be this way. You got to be right. You have to do things right. You have to
Yeah.
win. You have to be in control, right? And so now I can't control this. So let me do that instead because this I know
Yeah.
how to do and this I know I won't
Yeah.
screw up.
Right.
And so here it is, right? Why do you punish yourself? Why does this punishment come in?
Because I feel like I failed at something or I didn't do it right or
Because you feel
control.
like you have no control,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
that's the stem of it, right?
Yes.
Because I feel I don't have control. But what do we justify it with? I overate, right here.
Yeah.
So your punishment is coming from, I ate this food, I shouldn't have ate it.
Yeah.
No. That's not really why you're punishing yourself. You're really punishing yourself because you're getting mad of why you don't have control.
Right. Right.
Do you see that?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
But we try to justify it with our actions to then have a reason to get mad at ourselves for, which is, I overate, I shouldn't have ate this
Right.
crap, you're an idiot. And plus, on top of that, you should have handled this thing different.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. So what do? You just said it right here, right?
Yep.
And you keep punishing yourself, and you keep punishing yourself. And when you keep punishing yourself, you feel, how do you feel?
Just like hopeless, like it's never gonna.
Hopeless, which is a negative state, right? It's a negative feeling. And
Yeah.
then to feel better, what do you end up doing?
Eating.
Eating more
Right.
to get our dopamine up again,
Yeah.
right?
Horrible.
And then
Yeah.
what happens
Horrible.
afterwards? You feel guilty, you feel shameful, you
Yep.
punish yourself again. And so it's like this destructive, never
Yeah.
ending cycle of habit.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Definitely.
so this week what we want to work on is, and you may know some of them, but
Okay.
maybe things happen this week as we start to get very specific with these triggers, right?
Yes.
Let's break down what these things are, right?
Go back into there and add that
Go
in.
back
Yeah.
in there, let's add all these, right? And in this, the exercise that I want you to do is, as you're breaking down this event, I want you to take a moment to almost relive this event.
Okay.
Don't judge it, don't shame it. Like, you're going to allow yourself to go back to this place, and I want you to pay specific attention to what happens emotionally and physically.
Okay.
Do I feel something coming up here in my stomach? Do I feel tension coming up in my neck? Does my head start hurting, right? Does my heart start racing, right? Do I start to get like very antsy in my chair, right? Do I start to get goosebumps? So what is all that? And I want you to write it down.
Okay.
Because now this is going to lead us into what is my physical and what is my emotional response.
Right.
Okay. And
Okay.
then as well, what I want you to do is now kind of jumping ahead of like how we're going to start doing this. I want you to take a look at choosing a new behavior, and I want you to start choosing some of them.
Okay.
I know you've kind of already glanced at it, you've kind of looked at it, but now I
Little
want you
bit.
to start making a list of what would, if I could choose a behavior when I am triggered and I feel this emotional response come up that I used to go to food, what else would I like to do?
Yeah.
If I could choose. Remember like how we created this ideal scene of what that would be? Like if I could ideally choose, what would that be for you right now?
Okay.
Okay. And so all we're going to do is we're going to make a list. We're going to like just allow ourselves to go in that place and allow our subconscious to kind of start giving us these answers and like kind of giving us the solution for it.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Nope.
It's like, I always feel like we go through so much and you're like, you just absorb it all.
And
I love
I
it.
really
I
do.
love it.
Yeah. And then I think
love
about it, throughout the day. So
Fantastic.
it's all good.
Fantastic. You're a rock star. Keep it up. If you need anything, reach out.
And there you have it, my friends. That is the end of today's episode. And look, it's been a joy, an absolute joy to work with Allison and to have her as a student, to have her as a client, and really to see how she's grown, right? Because when she began this process, there was still a bit of uncertainty, right? Because just like many out there, she has tried many things. She tried numerous types of different programs, different types of diets, different types of methodologies, right? With hopes of finding answers to her issues. And going through her coaching, right? And really deep diving into the coaching and the mentorship that I provided, that I guided her with, it was significantly different because she understood things of why she was really doing what she was doing and how to now take practical action steps to change that. And it was really cool. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you have any questions about anything that you heard today, if you have any questions about Allison's process, right? As I'm going to continue to share more of our coaching calls together so you can continue to see her process and other students and clients of mine's journey as well, just so that you can really start to gain get some hope, right? Gain some encouragement to know that you too can do it. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you've tried. It doesn't matter how many times you may have attempted and it may have not worked. Look, there's hope. And I want to bring that hope to you, right? So let me know what your thoughts are of today's episode. If you want to hear more of this, let me know in the comment section or shoot me an email, right? I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions regarding anything that was discussed today, shoot me an email. Let me know what those questions are. You can send me an email to listennotdefeated@gmail.com. Listennotdefeated@gmail.com. You'll find it there at the bottom. And also, if you want to connect and have a conversation, look, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to get to know you. But more importantly, I'd love to serve you. How can I support you? Let me know. I want to support you. I want to be of service. I want to encourage in a certain way, and I want to be here for you. So if you want to have a conversation, if you have maybe certain things that you want to discuss on a more intimate level, look, go to my website and let's connect. You can visit there and set a time for us to connect. Very simple. You can visit my website, www.davidhernandez.co. That's davidhernandez.co. You'll find it there at the bottom. And also, let's connect. If we are not connected on social media, what are we waiting for? Let's do that. I'm on all social media platforms under my handle at Dave K. Hernandez. Again, you'll find it there at the bottom at Dave K. Hernandez. Let's connect. I want to have a connection and relationship with you. So thank you again. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Listen, You're Not Defeated. And I'm your host, David Hernandez, reminding you, look, every week we are coming with 2 episodes on Tuesday and Thursday. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel or to my podcast, click the subscribe button and click the bell for all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, click the follow button so that you don't miss an episode. Again, you are incredible. You are not defeated. Remember that, right? That is the purpose of this show. That is the purpose of these episodes, to encourage you to live your best life. So go out, crush it, and do that. Remember, you are incredible, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care, my friends. Peace.